Defensive Player of the Year, I think that crown in 2022 will go to Myles Garrett. A lot of people have predicted Myles Garrett to be Defensive Player of the Year in these past few years. He didn't get it, obviously, but I think he finally lives up to the hype this year and is crowned as the defensive player who had the best season in 2022. Hey man, I just think Myles Garrett is due for just a big year. Look, he's been Myles Garrett. We know he's like a top 3 edge rusher in the game right now, but I think he improves upon his sack number this year. He had 16 last year. I think he goes up maybe 3 or 4 sacks this year, has maybe 19, 20 sacks this year. So look, I think Myles Garrett will be another level of Myles Garrett this year. But look, I gotta tell you guys why. When I look at this Browns defensive line, yeah, you got Jadeveon Clowney next to Myles Garrett at that other edge position. But when you look at the defensive tackle room, there's not a ton of depth there. And when they brought in Alex Wright from the draft, they traded for Chase Winovich. Those are guys I suspect the Browns to really want to get more playing time at the edge position. And look, I think you will see 3 edge rushers out on the field at one time sometimes for the Browns, but only 2 edge rushers will be playing the edge. 1 edge rusher will be playing inside, and most of the time that will be Myles Garrett. This is something the Browns have done with Myles Garrett before. Line him up inside, match him up with guards, allow him to be able to win inside, which he is really, really good at doing. Because of the lack of star power at the defensive tackle position, I think with the bit more depth that they have at defensive end, I think they will use Jadeveon Clowney, one of their other defensive ends of Alex Wright or Chase Winovich outside, and really allow Myles Garrett to really be wherever he wants on the defensive line at times. And because he'll be able to be more flexible this year, which is my prediction, I do think that will cause an uptick in production for Myles Garrett. And look, obviously Myles Garrett is most of the time going to be an edge rusher. I'm just saying that sometimes this year, the Browns are going to get more flexible with Myles Garrett and use him in ways that Myles Garrett can win at, and that is winning inside, which Myles Garrett has done before. I just want to make sure everybody is getting what I'm saying here. There will be times this year that Myles Garrett is going to be moved along the defensive line. He's going to be flexible, but he is going to be full-time edge rusher. I just want to make sure everybody gets what I'm saying. But also, the Browns secondary, that's something I want to talk about. This Browns defense was a good defense last year, especially the final, 8, 9, 10 games of the year. But those first really 5, 6 games of the year, the secondary had their moments, but the secondary, you could also tell they were still getting that chemistry together. Therefore, they weren't giving the pass rush a lot of time to hit home. That secondary was still meshing. They were still giving up plays downfield or even intermediate quickly because they were getting that secondary together and really trying to mesh together that new talent that they had. Now, down the stretch, when the talent meshed and they got their chemistry together, then they gave the pass rush more time to hit home, and the secondary was also balling. I believe they were the #1 ranked secondary, especially down the stretch in 2022. But this year, I believe that they will give Myles Garrett and even that whole pass rushing room just more time to be able to hit home at the quarterback for just the whole season now, since that secondary now has chemistry. And we saw that with this talent and chemistry added really the last 10 games of the year, this secondary is a top 3, maybe top 5 secondary in the NFL and is arguably #1. So I think they will give Myles Garrett time to be able to hit home and get sacks.